Chapter 1, Part 1 of The Sorceress of the Strand. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Sorceress of the Strand by L.T. Meade and Robert Eustace. Chapter 1, Madame Sara, Part 1. Everyone in trade, and a good many who are not, have heard of Warner's Agency, the Solvency Inquiry Agency for all British trade. Its business is to know the financial condition of all wholesale and retail firms, from Rothschild's to the smallest sweet-stuff shop in Whitechapel. I do not say that every firm figures on its books, but by methods of secret inquiry it can discover the status of any firm or individual. It is the great safeguard to British trade, and prevents much fraudulent dealing. Of this agency I, Dixon Druce, was appointed manager in 1890. Since then I have met queer people and seen strange sights, for men do curious things for money in this world. It so happened that in June 1899 my business took me to Madeira on an inquiry of some importance. I left the island on the 14th of the month by the Norham Castle for Southampton. I embarked after dinner. It was a lovely night, and the strains of the band in the public gardens of Funchal came floating across the star-powdered bay through the warm, balmy air. Then the engine bells rang to full speed ahead, and flinging a farewell to the fairest island on earth, I turned to the smoking room in order to light my cheroot. "Do you want a match, sir?" The voice came from a slender, young-looking man who stood near the taffrail. Before I could reply, he had struck one and held it out to me. "Excuse me," he said, as he tossed it overboard, "but surely I am addressing Mr. Dixon Druce?" "You are, sir," I said, glancing keenly back at him, "but you have the advantage of me." "Don't you know me?" he responded. "Jack Selby, Hayward's House, Harrow, 1879. "By Jove, so it is!" I cried. Our hands met in a warm clasp, and a moment later I found myself sitting close to my old friend, who had fagged for me in the bygone days, and whom I had not seen from the moment when I said good-bye to the hill in the grey mist of a December morning 20 years ago. He was a boy of 14 then, but nevertheless I recognized him. His face was bronzed and good-looking, his features refined. As a boy, Selby had been noted for his grace, his well-shaped head, his clean-cut features. These characteristics still were his, and although he was now slightly past his first youth, he was decidedly handsome. He gave me a quick sketch of his history. "My father left me plenty of money," he said, "and the Meadows, our old family place, is now mine. I have a taste for natural history. That taste took me 2 years ago to South America. I have had my share of strange adventures, and have collected valuable specimens and trophies. I am now on my way home from Para, on the Amazon, having come by a Booth boat to Madeira, and changed there to the Castle line. But why all this talk about myself?" he added, bringing his deck chair a little nearer to mine. "What about your history, old chap? Are you settled down with a wife and kiddies of your own, or is that dream of your school days fulfilled, and are you the owner of the best private laboratory in London?" "As to the laboratory," I said with a smile, "you must come and see it. For the rest, I am unmarried. Are you?" "I was married the day before I left Para, and my wife is on board with me." "Capital," I answered. "Let me hear all about it." "You shall. Her maiden name was Dallas, Beatrice Dallas. She is just 20 now. Her father was an Englishman and her mother a Spaniard. Neither parent is living. She has an elder sister, Edith, nearly 30 years of age, unmarried, who is on board with us. There is also a stepbrother, considerably older than either Edith or Beatrice. I met my wife last year in Para, and at once fell in love. I am the happiest man on earth. It goes without saying that I think her beautiful, and she is also very well off. The story of her wealth is a curious one. Her uncle on the mother's side was an extremely wealthy Spaniard, who made an enormous fortune in Brazil out of diamonds and minerals. He owned several mines. But it is supposed that his wealth turned his brain. At any rate, it seems to have done so as far as the disposal of his money went. He divided the yearly profits and interest between his nephew and his 2 nieces, but declared that the property itself should never be split up. He has left the whole of it to that one of the 3 who should survive the others. A perfectly insane arrangement, but not, I believe, unprecedented in Brazil." "Very insane," I echoed. "What was he worth?" "Over 2 millions sterling." "By Jove!" I cried. "What a sum! But what about the half-brother?" "He must be over 40 years of age, and is evidently a bad lot. I have never seen him. His sisters won't speak to him or have anything to do with him.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?